I think every organization likes to say that they're different, right? First, but we do really feel that Gowan is different. First off, we're a family-owned and operated organization. The really neat part about that is, the lack of quarterly pressures of some of the bigger companies, right? So we have the ability to make longer term decisions without having to maybe have pressure to make decisions that aren't best for the grower long term. So that's number one. Number two, the most exciting thing about the Gowan organization is just how it started, right? So you have John Jessen walking fields as a one-man show, in southwestern part of Arizona, all those years ago. Just giving advice to growers, right? That quickly led to him then marketing products, manufacturing products, acquiring proprietary products, and one thing led to another, has built us into the organization that we are today. So now we're operating in, I'm going to screw up the numbers, so don't quote me or anything like that, but we're operating in 60 different countries. We touch a lot of different aspects in agriculture. So we're in manufacturing. So we have 6 manufacturing plants all over the world now. One here in Canada, in Fort Saskatchewan. One in Yuma, Arizona, where the headquarters are, and there's one in Colombia and Italy and all over the place. We have a growing operation, so we have a date farm, right, in Bard Valley, California. We have a fertilizer terminal in Guaymas, Mexico. We have retail arms in kind of what we call the fruit and veg corridor of the southwestern part of the U.S. So there's just a lot of, we have a seed business. So we have a fruit and veg seed retail business that has just exploded in growth, primarily in the US. But where we feel like we provide value in the space, and I think we've reached a critical mass where other organizations are recognizing that value, is you have your big companies who really focus on big projects, right? So we focus on narrower spaces, right? So unique problems to growers that are typically too complex for a generic company. So we have these big, huge issues up here, and then we have kind of narrower in scope issues that maybe the larger companies, it won't fit in their strategic mission. But again, it's a very specific problem, very unique problem that is typically very technical in nature. So that's kind of where we fit on a broader scale as an organization, and it'll continue to be that. And I mentioned our critical mass and others taking notice, right? So again, we've kind of talked about our history of how we've acquired mature molecules and breathe new life into them with either new formulation strategies, new mixtures. But now some of the discovery companies are noticing our market access and our market value as well. And now we're seeing opportunities where we're bringing new chemistries to market, which is really exciting. Some might call it adjusting your mindset from kind of product, your traditional product life cycle management to more innovative or inventive. But I think we can do both, because at the end of the day, we focus on what that ultimately means for the grower. And as long as we keep that at the forefront, I think our strategy will continue to be effective all over the world.
I guess it's no different than on your farm. You have to prioritize your capital spending and the allocation of your people and everything into the things that potentially give you the best return and provide the lowest risk. How, as a company like Gowan, that's into so many different industries, but also into so many different countries as well, I guess, how do you prioritize those decisions? And you had talked about, your big overarching problems, and one of those things is those problems are probably defined by the markets that you serve and the markets that those are most important. So I guess my follow-up to that a little bit is, where does Canada as a subsidiary or as a part of Gowan, how does Canada as a market fit into the overall strategy? Both longer term and short term as well. Obviously Canada has a lot of similarities to the US market, but in many ways is very different and has its own unique challenges as well. I guess
we have global presence, Levi. But if I had to put a different word on it, I'd say we're more like multi-domestic, right? So as a family owned operation, we have the autonomy to operate in our regions that make the most sense for that region or that business, so to speak. So we have the autonomy to operate, right? And a lot of the larger organizations might not have the freedom to do what is necessary for that specific location or that specific area of business. The significance of the Canadian business to the Gowan Group, we're the second largest organization, country organization on the marketing side of the business. So the significance to the Gowan Group is obvious. The focus, like our growth, I would say Canada is probably in the very top tier of projected growth in the coming years. And there's going to be a variety of ways that we challenge that. So we've been very heavily focused on Western Canadian ag, and that will continue to be the focus moving forward. We're bringing a new, we're hoping to bring a new pre-seed burn down product, primarily for wheat initially, but we'll be adding the pulse crops in subsequent years. So the Western business will continue to carry the obvious weight of the business, but we're also going to expand our presence in the East. So in most parts of the world, the Gowan Group, there's a big focus on fruit and veg space.
Right.
And so we want to expand in that area as well. But again, the focus on Western Canadian ag specifically. So we have new chemistry, new mixtures with some of our older chemistries, right? So we're looking to bring a triolate ethylfluralin combo product to market, which will serve a unique need. We're going to be looking to bring essentially what we're calling like a liquid fortress product. So right now we just have the Fortress Microactive, but we're working on a liquid version of that. So a lot of our development efforts are focused on Western Canadian ag.
Yeah, no, well, and I mean, I think you've led us through, good background of the company and the focus and the priorities going forward. To leave the people here who know Gowan by name, but maybe haven't been as familiar on an individual level with the company. What are a couple of key takeaways or key words you'd like to leave our viewers with?
Yeah, no, thanks, Levi. So, the first thing that comes to mind is we like to have a different kind of conversation with our retail customers, with our grower customers. And we like that conversation to really be driven by the agronomics of what's going on that farm, that specific farm. We don't, of course, pricing and programming and all that is always part of the conversation, but us understanding the technical nature of the issue that specific person is seeing first, reviewing our portfolio and seeing if there is an agronomic fit, and then having, continuing the conversation forward. So I think we like to have a more technical based type conversation. We rely on our technical development team to continue to hear those issues and continue to tweak our portfolio with new mixtures, new formulations, even some new chemistries coming out based on what we're hearing come out of those conversations. It's not only the Jessen family, right? It's the extended families of the Gowan organization and the people that we work with, right? So like John is still chairman of the board, still involved, still comes for a happy half hour on Fridays down to the Yuma office where we ramble off the numbers and have a quick presentation while everyone has a beer to celebrate the hard work and the results of that hard work. Julie is our CEO, our very effective CEO who has really led really led us into the future and what we're starting to look like as an organization. But all of that is great, right? But what really sets us apart is when you make a trip to Yuma, right? And you get to sit down for dinner with the Jessen family and hear the story of how it all came to be and the mistakes that were made, and just the trials and tribulations that led us to where we are today. There's not many organizations, I don't think, that you can go and travel to see their home office and ultimately sit down with not only the CEO but the founder, the entire family, really, right? So we have John, we have Julie, we have Mark, we have Gowan, we have Dirk, and chances are you go to Yuma, you meet at least some of them. Their travel schedules can be kind of crazy sometimes, but and that's when you really get to feel who we are. I can't tell you how many stories I've usually kick off with, "Oh, you're with Gowan. I'll never forget that time I went to Yuma and had dinner in John's backyard." And but the conversations, no matter where I go all over the world, usually start with a dinner or a drink with John or Julie or Mark. So it's a pretty neat organization to be a part of. And again, you have the Jessen family, but you have the Gowan family and all the people that it touches all over the world that makes it special, I think.